All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have an interesting Houston Rockets hypothetical here today. Now, I want to talk about Zach LaVine. I don't know what the Chicago Bulls are going to do about Zach LaVine, but since the Houston Rockets they're not in the playoffs right now, and we have a little bit of a grace period from now until later on in the month when the draft lottery will take place. And then once the draft lottery takes place, everything will start to come full circle. There will be a ton of Rockets content, but for the time being, there just really isn't much at the moment. And I figure, why not dive into some fun hypotheticals? But guys, before I get into this video, if you enjoy it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. I also stream every day on Twitch. The link is in the bio to that. And then I've got a Houston Rockets Daily. I've got a Discord. All that stuff is in the bio. Let's talk some Zach LaVine today, man, because I know that there are just a ton of different reports coming out from Chicago. Essentially, reportedly Zach LaVine won't seek max, blah, 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 whatever it is. Zach LaVine, after this season, he's got 1 year left on his contract. So actually their season is well over now. He's got 1 year left on his contract. And no matter what the cap space is looking at, I want to just kind of dive into what Zach LaVine would look like on the Houston Rockets. Now, as far as what would it take to get him here, I'm not quite sure, because it would have to revolve, in my opinion, John Wall. But even at that point, I don't think John Wall is enough. I don't know what they would do, because salary-wise, it's really tough. But maybe just kind of playing around here. Maybe the Bulls, let's say the Rockets give up Christian Wood and John Wall, and the Chicago Bulls, maybe they give Zach LaVine, and then just to make the salaries match, maybe Lauri Markkanen with a sign-and trade, something like that, where the Bulls, you're getting a promising player in Zach LaVine and a somewhat promising prospect in Lauri Markkanen. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery. Christian Wood, this is a trade that I'm sure Rockets fans would not really be all that thrilled about, but I think you could make an argument for it, because, like, as good as Christian Wood is, Zach LaVine is just on a different level, and he is 25 years old as well. On the season, Zach LaVine just went completely off. Absolutely completely off. He had one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best season of his career. 27.5 points per game, about 5 total rebounds per game, about 5 total assists per game, while it was his lowest steal mark since 2017. Still was getting close to that mark, and from deep he shot 42%, and his career is about 38.5. So Zach LaVine really just took a huge leap from last year to this season, and last year he even just had a great year. Ever since he got to Chicago after his first season, this dude has been an absolute menace. And the good news about this trade for the Houston Rockets, you get rid of John Wall's contract. Like, that would be the biggest thing, is you're just getting rid of John Wall's contract. The Chicago Bulls, they're looking for a playmaker. They're looking for a point guard. They're looking for a leader. They're trying to win basketball games right now. Now, I don't think the Chicago Bulls would do a trade like this, because I think they would try to keep Zach LaVine, but on either side, if you start getting some first-round picks involved, it might get a little bit more realistic, a little bit more interesting. Now, Zach LaVine, on his career, 19.1 points per game player. This is a guy he's just really taken that next step as far as actually winning games. I mean, Zach LaVine, time and time again, before they got Nikola Vucevic at the trade deadline, this was a guy who was, he is fully capable of going off in the fourth quarter and leading the Chicago Bulls to a win. Fully capable of. Now, let's talk about Lauri Markkanen, another guy in this trade here, because, man, you guys know I live here in Chicago. I make some Bulls videos. I make quite a few Bulls videos, and I'm not too keen on this guy anymore. I was loving Lauri at the start of the season before he went down with injury, and then, he just didn't have a great year. It's just, you got to keep in mind, he only averaged slightly under 26 minutes per game. He shot 40% from 3. This was definitely Lauri Markkanen's best shooting season of his career. He was extremely efficient, just an extremely efficient player this year. He shot 58%. His other career high heading into this season was 52%. But you look at his actual stats, and it's 13.6 points per game. He got 5.5 rebounds. And this is a guy who's 7 feet tall. I mean, only getting in 5 rebounds per game, it's just super unideal. You take a look back at 2018, 2019, Lauri Markkanen, he was going 19 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, and he was actually looking like he had a ton of promise. And at the trade deadline, I was saying I really wanted the Chicago Bulls to keep Lauri Markkanen and trade away Wendell Carter Jr., and that is exactly what they ended up doing, and it kind of looks like that was a huge mistake and that maybe they should have kept Wendell and traded away Lauri. As far as Lauri Markkanen goes, he's nothing like Christian Wood, man, but at least you're getting a promising potential power forward player. A lot of this trade would kind of revolve around where do the Houston Rockets fall in the draft? Are they getting that first pick? Did they fall out? John Wall and Eric Gordon, the good thing about the Rockets, and I keep saying this, is you kind of just have to assume that they're off the books for the next 2 years. Like, yeah, John Wall, they owe him $90 million for the next 2 years, but I mean, especially looking at this year's free agency class, it's like, why do they really need that much money? Do they really need a space to fill a max slot? Like, you got to be realistic with, can the Houston Rockets legitimately win a championship next year? And the answer is right now, probably not, unless they were to actually, maybe get Cade Cunningham or whoever they were to draft was just a really good superstar player that made direct and immediate impact. Maybe Christian Wood takes a huge leap. Jae'Sean Tate takes a huge leap. John Wall, Eric Gordon, they stay healthy. They're looking good. KPJ is just an absolute stud. Maybe he's like in running for most improved or MVP, whatever it is. Like, they need a lot in order to happen next season. The odds get better as, the more seasons you go, but I think just being realistic, the next 2 years as far as Rockets being able to win a championship, I mean, you still got guys like LeBron James out here, although LeBron did just get dethroned. So we'll see what happens maybe with this Brooklyn Nets team. We'll see if any other big threes form around the league in response to Brooklyn. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe the Rockets make a huge trade in the offseason. They trade away John Wall. They trade away Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, and they end up getting a ton of different pieces back in return. And maybe you do end up getting Cade Cunningham, or you end up trading up to try to get Cade or Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, whoever it is that you want as a Houston Rocket. Just imagine them on the team. It's totally doable. But it needs, they just need a miracle in a sense for the next 2 years. So that's why I kind of view the Houston Rockets in the next 2 years as, John Wall's owed over $90 million, and Eric Gordon's contract honestly isn't too bad when you compare it to the rest of the Rockets roster. I mean, he's making around $20 million. I think in maybe his last 2 final years, or his final year for sure, he'll make slightly above 20 mil. But for the most part, I mean, he's a relatively solid player. He's good for the locker room. He's good for chemistry. And so for the time being, he's totally fine, because I don't want the Houston Rockets this year in free agency, although it is more fun when your team is pursuing these free agents like Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul. I don't know if it's necessarily in their cards. So we'll kind of see what happens with just, honestly, the NBA in general and the offseason and all that good stuff. But for right now, it's fun making these hypothetical videos. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button, man. I think I'm going to go live on Twitch later tonight. I'm about to go on vacation here for a little bit, so I don't know if I'll be able to stream on Twitch or that kind of thing. But go hit that sub button or that follow button. I'll see you guys tomorrow.